allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. Always the best part of the day having our students with us, and we have so many of them tonight, so we're really looking forward to celebrating the wonderful students. I'll turn it over to Jimmy. I'm just keeping you on your toes. This is the portion of our meeting where we have public comments, and so we have one person signed up, and I'll just read our statement about public comments. The Board of Education invites new members of our community to feel comfortable sharing matters of interest or concern that you might have. Concerns raised during public comments will not be responded to or discussed during the meeting. Those items brought to the attention of the board during this time may be considered in consideration for future responsible action. We ask that you refrain from discussing particular personnel or students. Individual comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and the total time for this portion of the agenda will be limited to 15 minutes. Deb and I will be your timekeepers. Please be advised that members of the audience report us and you during public comments. Please begin by stating your name and the name of the school district you reside in for the record. I think the first person signed up is Bessie Terrell, please. Hi. Would you give me just 1 second so I can set the timer on my phone? Yes, perfect.
You can state your name and your address and my name is Bessie Terrell. I'm from the Naples School District, and my address is 210 South Main Street, New York. To the Board of Education of the Naples Schools, my name is Bessie Terrell, and I'm here this evening with Jane Baker, representing Generations Connection, to tell you more about our program. Generations Connection is in its second year. Over 60 second graders from our Naples schools have been helped so far, and our program is growing. Our school children need a little more one-on-one time, a little more encouragement. It's a little learning fun. It is through relationships that we learn the most. We at Generations Connection connect the older generation, our retired teachers, with the newest generation, and in the process, encourage learning through relationships and sharing. One of the students and mentors had such a strong bond that these two families met together over spring break in Florida just the past weeks. We don't just stop with helping second graders. On March 14th, we sponsored a seminar on making connections with your children. 16 parents attended. Their comments were so positive that someone said, "Can you give more than a 10? It's no accident that I stand before you today. My son came home from school and said that he was having trouble learning. My husband and I helped him as much as we could. Though he knew that we thought he was smart, but he thought no one else did. He needed help, and he got help from a caring professional educator. You did a good job with Alexander Tewell. He was the senior class president at Canandaigua Academy. He graduated from college and graduate school, and then earned a postdoctorate from Harvard University. He's now a respected artificial intelligence expert. None of this would have happened if that child hadn't got help as a second. And that's why we do what we do at Generations Connection. It's important work. There's learning that sometimes has to happen face to face. Generations Connection is providing that help. And with your help, we can provide even more. We're grateful for everything you do. You send out all sorts of invitations. You send invitations to our parent meetings. And we're grateful for that. But you know, so we can use even more help. We could use help with talking to the primary librarian and some of the primary people to just help us with our curriculum. and thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a comment? Thank you. We have minutes up for approval, I'll ask for motions, please. Jen, Beth, questions or comments? All in favor? That carries unanimously, thank you. Good, nice to see you already.
Alright, so first up, I want to talk about the nightclub night that just happened this past Saturday, which not only was our Academy Jasmine, but the Canada Middle School one as well, and the sound, which appears at the sports games and stuff. And we also had a student revenue that was for the National Council of Excellence for 2024, which is awesome. And we appreciate your congratulations on that as well. And the Canada Creative Alliance, which is something I got to learn about, is when we have our digital marketing class and our manufacturing class come together, and they make products and work on projects that they can then sell and advertise for. And so they use kind of what they're learning in their class to actually put that into their work. And so, and exercise those skills that they're learning. And one of our clubs, I guess, maybe their club, I want to highlight is our masterminds team, which is first place in our league, which is kind of cool. And their advisor is actually Mr. McLaughlin, who is just awarded the NHS Teacher of the Year this past week. And then we have the mental health awareness walk May 18th. We got a lot of sports teams and clubs also participating, and you're welcome to donate and or walk in and participate in that as well.
That's a lot, thank you.
Thanks for that report, Karen. It's, I was actually just talking to the board. I know we have people here tonight who will recognize some of our winner athletes. And at an upcoming board meeting, I'd like to recognize and invite our student government because that is such a great honor. And so, that'll be coming up hopefully in June. But, we really want to recognize all those students who demonstrate leadership skills as students in our school, but then are recognized at the state level and national level too for their excellence in leadership. So it's something to be very proud of. The masterminds piece, actually wasn't aware that they were doing so well. They did really well. They've done really well for multiple years on end, but they're in first place right now, which is fantastic. And that's just great news. So thanks for sharing that. I just have two pieces. One will be me talking, and the other I'm going to invite our athletic director, Mrs. Caroline Chapman, to talk because she's in the hall with some students right now. So we'll pull her in here shortly. The update I have is really just specific to our logo and branding. As you all know, when we changed our name, we released a temporary logo, and that was created by an art teacher within our school district because we knew if we didn't have something in place, everybody would be just kind of creating their own thing, and it would be really hard to rein in. So we created a really nice design, but we wanted to have it professionally done, and so we've had multiple stakeholder groups with this firm that's creating our finalized logo. We have about, I would say, around 20 students that are on the stakeholder group, and then what I would say is about 20 adults. So with the students, it's really any student that's in our Tri-M, which is our Music Arts Society, and on our Athletic Leadership Council. That is something that our AD, Mrs. Chapman, we're all invited to it. And so we typically have about 20 students that show up to each meeting. And then with our adult group, it's a mixture of administration board members, teachers, coaches, booster, parents that volunteer on boosters. And again, it's in that 10 to 12 range of folks. And so, the first round of drafts, the artist created the renditions and then showed them to our groups and solicited feedback. He had really 7 options for us to look at. In that first round, our stakeholder committee had very strong opinions about those 7 options that were presented. And then the artist went back to the drawing board and made revisions based on those strong opinions. And I would say in the first round, the student stakeholder group and the adult stakeholder group, the feedback they gave was very similar in a lot of ways. They echoed a lot of the same sentiments about what they were seeing. And then the artist came back with round 2 with those revisions. And I almost started laughing about midway through the student presentation after the adult presentation happened, because it was almost verbatim the feedback that the students were giving. compared to what the other stakeholder group was giving. They saw everything the exact same way. It was really interesting to see and hear the students articulate a lot of the academic feedback. And so the artist took in that feedback, and we've narrowed it down from the 7 to about 2 or 3 options that really seem to be kind of rising to the top. And he'll take that feedback and do more renditions. So like I've shared with the board, certainly John and Jeannie, they serve on the committee, as does Amy, this isn't something we will compromise around. At the end of the day, whatever is created has to be something we're really, really proud of. And so we continue to just kind of work through the revisions until we found that item that we're incredibly proud of. And so a lot of people are asking, when will the final logo be out? When can we start printing it? And my response typically is, I hope in the spring, but I don't know. We need to get this right. So we'll continue to work through the process, but I appreciate everybody taking the time to look at these renditions and offer feedback so that it can be revised. And at the end of the day, we'll have a complete booklet that really shows everything that can be used in terms of our logos and our branding, like printing on apparel, letterhead, mascots, any kind of artwork that goes along with it, primary and secondary logos. And so it'll be a full style guide when it's all said and done. But these things, if they come easy, I'd be worried that maybe we weren't looking at it with a fine-tooth comb. And so it hasn't been easy. I really thought once we picked the name, we could move forward and it'd be fun now. And it's not fun now, even still. It's very, very challenging because we want it to be right. So that's the update. I wish I had something more concrete for you, but it's a work in progress and we'll continue to work. All right. I will now turn it over to our athletic director, Mrs. Chapman. The second part of my presentation will be recognizing our winter athletes.
I'll get the children.
You're leaving as soon as
Hi, good evening. We're excited. I wish I could bring more student athletes here. The room's not big enough for more of them, but we have a lot to be proud of from this winter. And overall, the people who are represented here represent many of our teams, and they either made first team all league. Some of them are going to be announced as all Greater Rochester recipients, but those haven't come out yet. And then, or they set a substantial school record, or they went to states. So tonight we honor our student athletes, and we had a 62% winning percentage this winter with a 66-41-4 record. Some sports don't really have records, so I think we did even better than that. We had success on the court in the hockey arena, we had success on the track, and we also had success in the classroom. The cheer team, ice hockey team, alpine ski team, boys swimming and diving, girls indoor track and field, boys indoor track and field, boys basketball, girls basketball, and boys bowling teams all were named Scholar Athletes. So tonight we're going to start, we're going to talk about our boys basketball team. No one's here from them. They had a 17-5 record. And no one made first team all league, even though they had probably their best season in years. They had a really balanced attack and led by Coach Davern. And we believe they had the record tied the record for the most wins in a season. And they also had our most wins since we switched to the Monroe County League. So that's our boys basketball team. Now back to the students who are here. First up, we have Sadie Erb. Sadie is, now you're finally in high school. We've been talking about Sadie, I feel like, for a while. She went to states last year as an 8th grader in bowling. And this year she was went to New York State. Bowling works is they have a composite team of athletes from many different schools that go to states, not one. There's no New York State bowling champion, and they're actually talking about changing that. Like tennis has a state champion, or wrestling has state champions, and so bowling, they're looking at switching to that, which we're in favor of. Sadie was the Section 5 Class B bowling champion, went to states, and the team finished with a 14-2 record
Okay,
for the
I found
girls.
this on the web. For what's the
Oh,
Section
that's my
5
phone.
Class B?
Macy, is it your phone? The boys bowling team also had a great season. They finished fourth at sectionals and had a 9-7 record. And Coach Tepper, he has lots of jokes, but he's like, this is gonna be our year. This is our year, but I think next year we're gonna have a great year too. So Sadie, congratulations, you got 3 more years of bowling with Sadie, so we're excited for that. Next up is Amani Gullo. Amani set the school record this year in the 600 meters 3 times? 3 different times?
Yes.
Yes. So he wrote it, and he set it at 127.31, and so that led him to also now competing in outdoor track. So Amani set the school record in indoor track, so we're excited about that. Next up, we have our wrestlers. We had a great wrestling season. I really love this picture, kind of captures everything that it means at the Bradshaw tournament. The wrestling team had a really great victory over Spencerport right at the academy, right at the start of the season. It kind of got some momentum going. We qualified as a team for the Section 5 dual sectionals for the first time. And then we also had our champion, Mason Depew, in 190 pounds, and he placed 6th at the New York State Championship. And he was first team all-league. And he also won the Bradshaw tournament. Carson Frary Jr. made first team all-league, and we're looking forward to great things next year, and they were captains. And then freshman Josie Lamb went to the Girls State Invitational. Josie placed 6th at the Girls State Invitational, and next year the Girls State Championship will be an official state championship. So this year was called an invitational, last year it was too, and girls wrestling was an emerging sport, and next year is going to be an official sport well, it's been a sport, but now it's gonna be like an official sport. That's wrestling. Our cheerleaders, they're not here. We have 4 athletes who couldn't be here tonight because we had a girls lacrosse game against Orchard Park tonight. So our cheerleaders, Molly Orlacher and McKenna Echtel, both made first team all-league. Our cheer team, we had new coaches, I use air quotes maybe for that, new to us again coaches, Marilee Taft and Marlies Thompson, and they got second at sectionals. So we were really proud of our cheer team. And we had some change in cheer this year. Cheer had something in the fall called Game Day Cheer, which was trying to encourage more participation. You don't have to have as much tumbling, and there's less, and maybe more of what some people think of as traditional cheerleading, whereas competitive cheer in the winter requires tumbling and a lot of more stunts. Okay. Ice hockey. Charlie Fuller. How many saves did you end up with, Charlie?
Like 1,400.
You're 14. And in the Victor game, you had 42, right? Yeah. So the ice hockey team had a 9-9-4 record, and a great win over Victor in sectionals, making to the sectional semifinals. Charlie did lead the team in goal, and he had 42 saves against Victor. 10 seniors on the team, so we have a lot of people graduating, and Charlie did have over 1,400 saves and was named the Section 5 Class B Goalie of the Year. Okay, alpine skiing. First up, we have Reed Heiden. I'd also like to recognize Coach Kevin Wall as he's retiring this year from coaching alpine skiing, and Murphy Swain will be taking over. He's a high school special education teacher. On the boys' side, Reed qualified for states, Reed Heiden. He made it as a sophomore, and so they competed in late February at Whiteface Mountain. And then for the girls' team, they had the lowest combined score in the Section 5, meaning that they had the fastest times when you compared them against both Class A and Class B. Pittsburgh did win sectionals, but we were the state representative in alpine skiing. And senior Ava Romano is here representing that team, along with Rose Hegney, who's at the lacrosse game. She made the state team 5 times, so we're really gonna miss Rose on the slopes. And then 7th grader, Kira Giuseppe, also represented Canandaigua at states. Okay, over here. Would you like to talk? 15 and 7, our girls basketball team, we have Macy Bacon and Kylie Chapman here. And then Coach Brennan also, he was the coach at the Ronald McDonald game. The Ronald McDonald game supports the Ronald McDonald Charities. If anyone's been there, it's a very special place that helps support families when their children are in the hospital and more. And Macy, we're looking for great things when she goes to the U of R, but she perseveres through many things, and she became first team All-League and was honored as Ronald McDonald All-Star, which is a really big deal in girls basketball. Kylie Chapman is, I get asked often if she's my daughter, and I would like to say yes, but I say I wish, and I think she has a lot of great things going for her. She had 1,112 career points, meaning 5th on our all-time list. It was an exciting game where she broke the record. Kylie doesn't like to maybe be the center of attention, so it was really fun to get to do that to her. 727 career rebounds, which is 2nd all-time. We went to the state finals last year, and so we're definitely gonna miss these two. And the girls basketball team finished 15-7 in a really tough Class AA division. It was stacked with lots of teams that had really great records. Up next are the boys swimmers and divers. They finished the season, Coach Ski Makers here, with an 8-3 record. Our boys were 2nd behind McQuaid at sectionals. Don Falbo, here in the blue, was first team All-League, and he was the Division III Monroe County Swimmer of the Year, and he also won the Class B Sportsmanship Award. And then we have divers and swimmers Henry Smith, and then Eli Heyer, and Alex Rood isn't here, but he also was first team All-League. They all made first team All-League, and Eli was 2nd at sectionals in diving, and Henry placed 7th, right, Henry?
Yeah.
Awesome. So we had a great winter season. We're looking forward to the spring season. We have baseball competing right now. Is the score 5-1 still?
It was when I last checked.
Okay.
You said the pledge, I turned it off.
Right, and it's okay, because I wanted to know the score too. And then girls lacrosse is playing tonight against Orchard Park, and a few other things. You know, the weather's been great, so we've had some changes going on, but we're really looking forward to the spring season. Anyone have any questions?
Oh, nice job.
Carolyn, thank you for that presentation. Thank you to the students for just shining a light on the district. We are so insanely proud of you. We get to see you compete. We're huge cheerleaders and huge supporters and huge admirers. Thank you to parents, because they didn't get here without you, obviously, here tonight, but here in general. So, lots of hard work from families to get kids to this point where they're so competitive in the classroom and wherever they choose to be athletes. And thank you to the coaches too for being a phenomenal part of their stories too. So our appreciation to everyone. Thank you again. And if parents want to grab a picture too, you can. Carolyn, you tell us how you want to set it up, and we'll just sit. You want that turned off, please?
Senior, yeah. He's going to Syracuse, ROTC.
We're gonna take a picture, so don't run away.
I apologize. I'll get out first, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Every time I go to one of these, I'll be laying on the floor. How we doing?
Oh, I was sitting back there.
All right, good evening. This will be our final budget presentation. This will be the budget that we present for adoption tonight. And I'll just hop right into it. We'll go through Your state aid and revenues, tax cap history, a little bit about the budget, looking at appropriated tax bill, and then the proposition, vote date, those types of things. So state aid update, there has been no change from the last board meeting. The state budget has not been adopted. As you're aware, the state budget is required to be adopted by April 1st. They've now done 4 extenders to keep the state budget operating. They do go on break on April 22nd, so they're hopeful to get the budget adopted this week. The discussion right now on school aid is that it sounds like they've come to a tentative agreement where they will bring back hold harmless, meaning that schools that are getting a reduction of lower state aid than they're currently getting will go back to their current state aid number, so a 0% increase. And it sounds like from reading everything, from the governor and from the legislature, they're coming to an agreement. They're still discussing the state aid for schools like Canandaigua that are entitled to a larger increase than what we're getting. But it does sound like they are going to come to an agreement at a lower level than what our calculation is. So I think the $204,000 increase, or that 0.91%, what's going to happen with the Senate and Assembly and Governor adopt the state budget. So on the revenue side, we're looking at a 2.9% tax increase of the 3.19% tax cap. When we look at property taxes, pilots, penalties, about $1.5 million increase from year to year. State aid, excluding building aid, about $324,000 increase. That is the $200,000 that I showed on the previous slide in foundation aid, and also about $100,000 in our expense-based aids. As we spend more in certain categories, we can get more entitled to additional aid in future years. State building aid, we have an increase of $594,000 due to the capital project, and we'll also, in a future slide, we'll show the $594,000 increase in our expenses due to the capital project. So those offset each other. Small increase in Medicaid of $10,000. And then miscellaneous other revenue, about $182,000 increase, the majority of that based on interest earnings. So overall, from year to year, annual increase of $2,627,000 on the revenue side. Looking at the tax levy history, since the inception of the tax cap, the blue line is the calculated tax cap, and the green line what's the district has chosen to go out at. You'll see that the district's never exceeded the tax cap in the history of its existence. And this year, we're at that 2.9% out of the 3.19% calculation. On the expense side, as we've discussed in previous meetings, we break it out in administration, program, and capital. The largest part of the budget is the program. It's everything that has to do with our students, teachers, teaching support staff, anything in a classroom, transportation, those types of things. It's the largest part of our budget, and it has a $2.1 million increase from year to year. About $900,000 of that, as you might recall from the building department presentations, is due to special education placements. Increase in administration of $212,000, and capital about $532,000. So when you look at that capital side, that includes our debt service. So about $594,000 increase in debt service, and then about $60,000 decrease in the operating budget for our capital, for our maintenance operations. So overall, an increase from year to year of $2,851,000 on the appropriation side. Staffing changes. We really did not do a lot of staffing changes from year to year. We had a lot of requests initially for the budget. After working through with many meetings with our directors and principals, this is what we came to as a final recommendation. So additions is the director of elementary instruction in the primary elementary school, which is replacing retirement of our school district data specialist. So retirement, changing the title, so it's not really an addition or subtraction, but it's a different title. We currently have 6 positions in our stimulus funds, and as we've discussed, from the beginning of the stimulus funds, those positions would no longer be active going forward at the end of once those retire, which they end at the end of this year. We are going to add one of those positions back in. It's the teacher on special assignment for math, science, and implementation. That is due to our new science and math curriculums at the elementary levels, really making sure that those continue to be implemented to the highest level. Reductions, we have an English teacher at the academy and a business teacher at the academy. Those positions are currently unfilled. They were budgeted for this year. We were not able to fill those. So we no longer will need those positions. We'll start seeing that as the enrollment levels at the academy continue to decrease over the next few years. There may be some areas for attrition going forward. So that change of negative one FTE from year to year. Within our budget, we're allowed to do up to $100,000 capital outlay project. This is where we spend up to $100,000 in a given year, and then we receive the aid the following year. This work will be in the primary elementary school this upcoming year. It's exterior frames and doors, continuing to improve the safety of that building. These are doors that, were not able to be completed as part of the capital project. And then we receive 73.2% aid ratio on those. So if we spend $100,000 next year, the following year, the state would reimburse us $73,200. So the current budget status, the budget for adoption is $91,147,506. On the revenue side, the tax levy with the 2.9% increase would be $52,580,000. All other revenues, you see there about $36,866,000, and then appropriating about $1.7 million in reserves and fund balance. The reserves that we appropriate into this budget, the ERS reserve at $1 million, workers' compensation at $322,000, unemployment at $20,000, the employee benefit accrued liability reserve at $100,000, our tax certiorari reserve $100,000, and then about $160,000 in fund balance. This is a reasonable amount. This is a similar amount as we've used in the past, slightly higher than what we're currently using. So looking at an estimated tax bill, so remember when we look at an estimated tax bill at this point, we don't know what assessed values are going to be next year. So we're looking back at, in this past fall, what assessed values were, and trying to come up with what is going to be the new tax rate without having those new numbers. So what we do is we just look at last year's assessed values and then just do a 2.9% increase in the rate, and that's how we determine this rate. As we get better data, we'll be able to update the information. But last year when we presented the budget, we looked at $150,000 assessed home, and we estimated the tax rate to be $17.49 per thousand. So that we estimated a tax bill after STAR to be $2,078.50. Because the assessments, reassessments were so much higher this past year for the municipalities than they previously had been, that 1749 rate was actually $15.09 per thousand for a fully equalized community. And so the $150,000 home would have $1,738 tax bill. In the proposed budget, we're estimating a tax rate of $15.53. So a tax bill on a $150,000 home of $1,804.50. So projected versus actual, this is just to reinforce that point I made earlier. When we're presenting the budget now, the rate that we're showing is extremely conservative. It's very high compared to what we actually anticipate the rate to be. So 2 years ago when we were presenting the budget this time, we estimated the rate to be $18.75. The actual rate was $17.08. Last year this time, $17.49 was our projection, came in at $15.09. The current rate is $15.53 that we're projecting. I actually expect our rate to be lower than the $15.09 that we're currently at when everything's said and done, maybe even significantly lower, but a very conservatively high number for this point in time based on the information we have. So as we've discussed, over the years, we really have to look at multi-year budgeting. We need to consider, this year and future years. What the governor and the state has really talked about as part of this budget process is, obviously, we talked about hold harmless and schools that are overfunded having a reduction in state aid. And now that every school is fully funded, from year to year, any school can also maybe a hold harmless school and have a reduction. The governor did say last week that as part of their planning for next year and in the negotiations to remove hold harmless, to bring it back to zero, that they'll give schools a year to prepare for the cuts in future years. So really that whole harmless is something that, was an actual, obviously something that was brought up this year as part of negotiation. It is gonna be something that we can anticipate continuing, going forward. So not that guarantee of 0 or a higher percentage of potentially reductions from year to year. Tax cap limitation is the lesser of CPI or 2%. So, you're limited on that, on the revenue side on the tax cap. Health insurance increases, they're increasing at rate, at trend or slightly above. So you're looking at 8 to 10% or maybe higher increase from year to year. And then the electric buses, we've had a lot of discussions about those, but we're about 2 years away from having to implement electric buses unless, something changes in state law, meaning in 2027, all buses purchased will have to be electric, and then our entire fleet of about 60 buses will need to be converted over the next 8 years, to 2035. It's significant additional cost of infrastructure and also for the buses. There are some federal and state grants out there to help offset some of the initial, additional costs, but that's not gonna last, very long, based on the analysis, that's out there. So along with the budget, there are 2 other propositions, this year. One is for the purchase of buses. These would all be diesel buses. It's $1,524,755. There's 360 passenger buses, 574 passenger buses, and 166 passenger wheelchair bus as part of that, and we'll use our transportation reserve and fund balance to cover that, so we'll not have any effect on the tax rate. Proposition 3 is for our friends at Wood Library. They're proposing an increase to $1,007,564, or 9.5% increase. That amounts to 3 cents per $1,000 based on prior year assessments, so we'd actually expect that to be lower. And an increase of $4.50 per year on $150,000. There are 2 Board of Education seats available. Currently, we won't have the actual applications for anyone going to be on the ballot, so I can't tell you who's going to be on the ballot. The expiring terms are currently Milton Johnson and Beth Thomas. Budget vote is May 21st, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And depending on where you live in the community, you'll either vote at the gym, at the Paramount Elementary School, or at Cheshire Fire Hall. And that's what I have. Are there any questions?
You make it less. I deal with people, professionals all day. You hear them and you think you have no idea which way is up or down. Listening to you and your team, I know you didn't go to school to do this, but you are excellent at what you do. I've been here as long as I have. I've seen a lot of people standing where you're standing. You do a great job. And you make it simple to understand. You know your stuff, just like these guys. We have a great professional team, and I'm very proud that you're up there.
Thank you.
Can I just add one thing, because we have an audience here, he did go to school for this. Did get a degree in this, so. He's the one that's being this.
And when you began your education to be a teacher, you never thought you'd be financially running an $80 million firm.
No, funny story, like I never even really thought about as a teacher that there was a business administrator, right? How does that happen, right? But yeah, private industry, then business, and then this, yeah.
So I do have one question, and this is probably just re-educating me. We look at that tax bill and you say against $150,000 tax bill. Given the assessments in the community and they continue to go up, should we be looking at it?
Yeah, we've talked about that, and so like in the budget digest, we use all different levels. We use 100, 150, 200, so you can see a comparison across. We looked at it, I think it was not this past year, but the year before, we contacted each of the municipalities. They were still in the framework of $150,000. It's probably next year's, it's a great point where we'll need to look at that as these assessments go up. What's the actual average assessment in the community? Absolutely.
Matt, can you bring that slide up again? I guess it's kind of a question, because I do hear that question quite a bit, Milton. So for example, and I don't know if this is a fair thing to say, but if I'm saying you know, I'm $150,000 house, and my tax bill's gonna be $1,800 a year, but if my house is $300,000, could they just easily do the math and double it, and that would be approximately what my tax bill would be?
Approximately, you would have to double the tax bill before Star, and then
Yeah,
Star,
that's-
assuming they have the Star exemption.
Right.
And
Right, that's why it gets a little complex, so.
It starts the same regardless of, as long as you meet that minimum of 30,000, everyone's Star should be the same. And Star, depending on when you purchased your home, most people don't have Star coming out their tax bill anymore. Now, back when Cuomo was governor, he figured out a way that if you owed the state money and the schools were taking Star off of the tax bills, he had no way to get the money you owed New York State. So I forget what year it was, but they stopped allowing you to have your Star exemption on your bill. So now you'll get a check from the state of New York, supposedly prior to your school tax bill coming out. That actually is 1% higher. He's trying to get people to switch. So he's giving a little added incentive to switch to a check Star versus Star coming out.
Right, so Star can, if you're having credit on your bill, you cannot get an increase.
Right, you can't get the increase, but you get the increase if you get sent a check. But the catch is, if you owe the state anything, that child, taxes, anything like that, they grab it.
I think that was like 4 or 5 years ago, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Right before COVID.
That's what happened.
And some people argue, well, yeah, you know, they want to be thankful to the state government for the reimbursement,
Right,
not the local
absolutely.
municipalities. You know, it kind of changes the game a little bit.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Stay put, here you are for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So we need a vote on this, and I'm gonna ask for motion to take from the second. Questions or comments? All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Matt, thank you, Susan, thank you, everybody, who's part of doing this. Okay, we have a consensus agenda and supplemental, ask for motions, please. And any questions or comments, all in favor? That passes unanimously, thank you, and audit appointment?
So, yes, obviously, we just met Friday, and so Matt provided us with, a lot of the information you just saw today, and we took a look at our fund balance projections based upon some of this information here and some of the factors that will influence that going forward. You saw a lot of the factors that are being considered as factors in our multi-year budget planning, and, we approved also some awards for music.
Thank you. CIA, Jen, Rebecca?
We had a very efficient Zoom meeting last week. First up was just for our general information, because you all know it gets approved at the board level, the canon of literature. There is some books that are added for kindergarten and third grade. We talked about the CIA membership for next year, which people are either retiring or their term is up or whatever, and Matt asked for us to think about people that might be interested. I'm only speaking for myself, not for you, although I love being on CIE. If any of you haven't been on CIE, it is a great place to kind of feel the pulse of the district and get to meet some of the teachers and even parents that are in the district. I thoroughly enjoy it. And then last, of course, Chris Van Dyne had her professional development presentation, and that woman is a rock star. She talked about the way that this year's, the day that they had their conference day, that such a huge percentage of people had actually done the work ahead of time. And then what she has coming up this spring, which, you know, you don't really think about it, but it's hard to believe we're actually in April. We're winding down. And the fact that people are still really excited about professional development, I just think is amazing. There you go.
Thank you. And CPI?
So we met at the end of March 27th, and we spent a fair amount of time looking at a possible, district self-assessment tool that was recommended to us by Svetlana Stowell, who's working with us from Monroe One BOCES. And we, divided up the advisory group into different subcommittees to look at different aspects of this tool, because it's a really detailed tool that looks at all kinds of different aspects of how we operate as a district, from creating a welcoming and affirming environment to working with family and community, expectations in instruction, inclusive curriculum. So we spent a fair amount of time really taking that apart and looking at how it might be helpful to us as a district. And one of the things we identified was that it did a really good job of painting a picture of the kinds of things we could do to be the inclusive and welcoming community that we want to be. So it was really specific in the things that it asked you to look at about yourself, which gave you a hint as to what were some things that you could do to achieve these goals, as opposed to saying, we wanna have a welcoming and affirming environment, actually breaking that down into different pieces. So we're still talking about how we're gonna use that, but it was a really effective conversation in terms of looking at the direction we wanna go in. And then we spent some time talking about the faculty meetings that had focused on creating a welcoming and affirming environment and what the conversations were in the different buildings. And then just started thinking about what we're gonna do the next time we get together, to look at the management plan that we had this year, and then think about what we wanna look at going forward.
Thank you. Last motions to adjourn. Motion meetings.